I would like to welcome you to this session of the festival, and I would like to invite our panelists, Maya and Ondjaki. Please come on stage so that we can begin. So as they're coming, I'll say a little bit about this session. So it's basically a Meet the Author session, and Ondjaki is one of the most important writers from Portuguese. He's an award-winning author, so we want to share into that brilliance. So, karibuni sana, and Maya, you can take over from here.
Hello? Oh, it's on now. Hi, guys. Hi. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Maya. I am a reluctant Nairobian. I'm a writer. I'm a reader. I am an enjoyer of Lusophone literature. And most important of all is I'm really, really, really pleased to be welcoming you guys here and Ondjaki as well. What a privilege, what a pleasure. We were kind of trying to identify a passage to read just so you guys have a sense or can get a teaser of what Ondjaki's book is, Transparent City, and that hasn't happened yet. So I guess what I have to do first is introduce you to the author. Just give me a minute to kind of find my notes. So really, I do not want to presume to be speaking for Ondjaki or to tell you who he is. I want to do, I want that to happen during this session. But what I can happily share with all of you is his illustrious publishing and writing profile. Ondjaki is one of the most prominent, prolific, and profound writers of Angola and of Lusophone Africa. He has published an impressive bibliography of works, including 5 novels, 4 collections of short stories, 6 children's books, and I'm missing something. Sorry, let me do this again. 5 novels, which is a lot, I think, yeah. 4 collections of short stories, 6 collections of poetry, and 6 children's books. Is that right?
Yeah, that's how we put it, yes. It's a lie, but yes, it's...
It's a lie?
It's always a lie.
It's always a lie? How do you mean?
I'll explain it to you.
Okay, let me go through, finish my profile on you. But this is what the internet is saying about you. Yeah. So he has been translated and read in several languages and has been the recipient of prestigious literary prizes, including the Grinzan, I hope I'm saying this correctly, Grinzan in 2008, the Grinzan Young Writers Award, the Portuguese Language Literature Prize, this was in 2012 for his novel Grandma 19 and the Secret of the Soviet, and then again in 2014 for A Beautiful Darkness. He has also been the recipient of the Djibouti Prize, the Bisaya Barreto Prize, the Kahinde Prize. Thank you. And most famously, the Jose Saramago Prize for his sublime book, Transparent City. So he was shortlisted. I'm just going to quickly finish. He was shortlisted in 2010 for his book, Grandma 19 and the Secret of the Soviet, was shortlisted in 2010 for the Sao Paulo Prize for Literature. He was named by Zukiso Wana as one of the five African writers to watch out for. And in 2014, he was published in the Hay Festival's Africa 39 project. So that is quite a profile on Ondjaki. It's quite a portfolio. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's not a very good idea to
How
say
do you
all
feel?
those things, because then I don't know what to say and it's very dangerous. But most of it, it's a lie, tiny lies that we put in the internet. So as you know, I totally forgot that I was coming here, and one of the lies is that I was translated into Swahili. I was never translated into the Swahili.
That has never happened? That needs to happen.
Not yet.
Not
but
yet?
It's I like it so much that I always put that in my biography. I was translated
You put it
into
there.
Chinese and Swahili. So to Chinese, now it's true, but Swahili ever. And once they asked me, so how was it? Who did the translation? I said, it's a big secret. I don't want to talk about it.
Okay.
No, those are tiny books. It looks like a lot of books, but those are tiny books, the poetry books and the collection for children. I'm not saying, it's not about being big or small. I'm just saying that, I really don't think that those numbers say anything at all about myself or about any other writer. It's not about, there is this Brazilian writer, Raduan Nassar, and he has 3 published books, and he could have won a Nobel Prize for it. He's very good with 3 books. So maybe I'm just trying to be good with so many books, and, in the end, 2 or 3 will be your books. The rest are exercises. You are publicly doing exercises, I guess, like sketches.
And would you care to kind of reveal what these 2 or 3 books are for you?
I do not know. I will not know in this existence, I think. I think somebody will, but it's not me, probably.
So someone else has to kind of decide. Okay, I have ideas.
Okay.
Yeah. So also, welcome to Nairobi.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here.
Your very first time in the country, right? So what are your first impressions and what are your experiences here?
Yesterday, my sister asked me, send me some pictures, and I can't. I was filming a little bit yesterday, but photograph, you either leave it and see it, or you take pictures. So I told her I have no pictures to send you, but I can tell you what it is, because it's very, very similar to Luanda.
It is.
Very, for me.
Okay.
The way, not exactly people, the look of the people is quite different, yes, but the way the city itself behaves, traffic, for example, everyone was saying that yesterday was a terrible day. You do not know what's a terrible day. But Luanda has 8 million people. I don't know here, how Nairobi, what's the number, more or less?
What's the number in Nairobi? What?
5? Well, okay.
5 million?
Then 5, yeah. Then 5, it's a lot as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, the driving, the thing is that, you run the cars in the opposite side of the road. So for me, obviously. So yeah, that's the thing. Yesterday, we were in a car, and I said, what's happening? Who's driving the car? Because no one was driving the car in that left seat, of course. And no, but it's very similar. Not the temperature. Luanda in this moment, it's a little bit warmer, I guess. But it's, yeah, here it's hot? No. Yeah, there, yeah. And it's, but of course, I don't think, you get to see a city, you need at least 1 year or so, right?
1 year to see a city. Are there things that kind of like stand out as being strange or like different or unencountered? It's
very uncommon for me to go to a place and find something very, because I'm not expecting nothing of that place. I don't go to Nairobi expecting to see Paris, or I don't go to Paris expecting to see Luanda. So, I go to a place and I try to accept it. So, yeah, yesterday we had a very beautiful night. I mean, I went to some places, I'm sure they're special. And that's what I really, really like to do. Go to the places that people go, not only, the touristic spots.
What about people in Nairobi? What do people in Nairobi appear or seem like to you?
I must tell you something about people, I mean, the people I got in touch with, and it was here yesterday, right?
Yeah.
And everyone was talking about my hair,
Your
and
hair.
wanted to touch my hair. And I said, what's going on? I've never had that, ever. No
Really?
one ever
Never?
in the world say, well, I mean, some people ask things, but here, I saw, they were looking like, I have something wrong. And she said, no, it's your hair. And so, I mean, it's okay for me. I'm just, I don't know what to say. I mean, I guess my hair, it's normal for me. And it's what it is. I grew up with it. So...
It's really beautiful.
Thank you.
I think it inspires
Okay.
that kind of reaction.
And yesterday,
Yeah.
in the streets, 2 people called me Jesus.
Jesus.
I was not with the hair like this. I was with the hair like that.
They called you Chinese because of your
Chinese.
cut or just the hair?
Okay.
Nairobians will do that. We'll
No, I look for the
profile
hair
you.
too. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a beautiful thing all over the world. But and Jesus, why? Because of the...
Because of the hair, and I think you're also wearing that longish.
Yeah.
So you looked very Christ-like yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody in Nairobi
Yes,
can
he told
be
me
blamed.
sacerdote, yeah. Okay.
Okay. So I want to be talking to you at length, maybe a little later, about your city and the people in your country and the people of your city. But first, there's kind of a radical proposition you make in Transparent City.
Okay.
And that is what Joao Slowly calls the 8th art, or the theater of self-confession.
Yes.
And for members of the audience who haven't read the book yet, it's a simple kind of makeshift stage where people speak openly and honestly and truthfully about themselves and their inner or interior lives, and they just open up, and it's just about making a confession. So I wondered if you would indulge us and if you would confess yourself to us.
Okay.
Yeah.
It looks like a churchy thing, is it? No, it's just...
It
okay.
seems that way. Tell us your sins, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
One thing that is good is that just a few people in here. So the less we are, the more...
The better.
No, the more, intimate
the
the conversation goes.
Yes.
Although we have these strong lights. Can we dim that down a little bit? Just... No, there's no... Yeah. A confession. I'm going to make a strong confession. It's not erotic or sexual. No. That's not the only way of being strong. I had to write a text a few days ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, that I promised to a friend. She has this magazine, and she writes about animals and the way the animals are treated and the way we see and perceive and relate each other with animals nowadays. And she asked me if I had something, related to that. And I said, I have something. Going to take me a while to write. And it took me a year, 1 year and a half, but now I did it. And it was a confession. I once killed a cat.
You killed a cat.
I did. I love cats. I love cats. Now I'm very, very love cats. I had I grew up in Luanda hating cats. All of my street, all of us, the boys, we were. I think everyone in Angola, for some reason, hates cats. There is this connection between cats and witchcraft and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Although it was not a big thing for me or a big information, I think I grew up under this thing that, cats are not... But it's not a black cat, any cat, in the street. If you see a cat in the street, it's not a good sign.
Even kittens?
I did not kill such a baby cat.
Okay.
But it's the same, anyway.
Okay.
So I grew up chasing cats and all, and then one day I killed this cat. But I wrote this text, and there is this part where I explain. The first part is trying to, put things in a perspective, that which relationship we had with cats in the street. The second one, it's the killing. It's not easy. It was not easy for me to write. And the third, it's that I was studying in Lisbon with my auntie, and she brought a tiny, tiny cat home that was a Siamese cat, very beautiful, marron. Then she came home. She was very little and tiny, and my auntie knew, I had issues with cats, and said, "This is our marron. She will live here with us now, like with us, all of us." Said, "Okay." I immediately fell in love with her, but I didn't. Okay, it's a cat, She grew up there with us, and in some months she got pregnant, and then she would have the babies, and the day came where she would have the babies, and we were at home, and the first baby came, and he was not coming out with his head, he came out with his
Little paws.
back.
The feet and the legs.
Back feet, which is very dangerous.
Yeah.
The first two. And my auntie panicked, she stayed like that looking at the cat, and the cat Marron was suffering. And I was like, no, I'm gonna be here with this, moment. Then the other 2 feet came out, and the cat, Custodio, he was about to suffocate. And I said, what should I do? To do something. Do something what? So I helped Marron and Custodio to be born. He was okay. She was okay. Then she had 3 more. So it was Custodio first, then Nina, Rusha, and Marron. And so I did the birth. So it changed. Of course, I already, I was softening with the cats. But that changed my relationship with the cats. And the 5 of them, they grew up with us for 2 years, and then I left. And sometimes I went there. Now they're all gone, because this is 1995. Yeah, this is my confession. So yes, life and Marron put me in that spot. You killed a cat, you will give birth to one.
You will give birth.
It was okay. Now I really have another relationship with animals in general. That's a confession, I guess.
Does he get any penance, or is he forgiven, absolved? Forgiven. Okay, he did bring life.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm curious about your name, Ondjaki.
Yes.
Why did you choose it? How?
I did not, actually. It's not my civil name, of course. And I say I did not choose it because when my mother was pregnant, she chose that name, Ondjaki. And when I was about to, I think 1 week or so before I was born, there was this neighbor, Tia Mambu, Auntie Mambu. And she said to my mother, "Do you know the meaning of Ondjaki?" Ondjaki is a word in Umbundu, the southern part of Angola. They speak Umbundu. And the word, it's not a name. My mother liked the sound and made it a name. It's not a name. It's some sort of a noun. You use it when a child is not quiet all the time. Is very unquiet. It's always moving, or sometimes doing bad things. So you see, it's kind of I don't know if it's a noun or an adjective. I know nothing about those concepts. And she said, yes, Ondjaki, it's that malandro, traquina, like, I don't know the word in English. Malandro. Yeah, he's malandro. Yeah?
Malandros?
Maybe, I don't know, is it? Okay, unquiet, like the one who never stops.
Okay.
But another meaning is warrior.
Warrior.
But because of the same reason. And every time I find someone whose mother tongue is Umbundu, and I ask this person, sorry, can you tell me what the meaning of Ondjaki? Each time there's a different story. Ever again I heard the same story, So everyone has a story. But this lady who did not speak Umbundu, Tia Mambu, she's from Cabinda, the other part, they speak Fiote, Lingala, Ibinda. And then she said, no, Ondjaki, means that, but onja in another language means testicle. Onja, onja. Then, it's dangerous to go at school, with that name. So I think my mother was a little bit afraid, and she changed my name. My real name is Ndalu.
Ndalu.
But Ndalu means fire. Again, goes
Fire.
to, so it's always trouble and
Yeah.
not quiet and not,
Okay.
That's it. So when I was 8 or 7, somebody told me that, your name was not supposed to be Ndalu, was supposed to be Ondjaki. It said, what an ugly name, Ondjaki. I'm glad they didn't give me that name. But then when I started actually not writing, painting, I used to paint, so I signed Ondjaki and it was natural for me.
Yeah, and that's how that became.
Yep.
Okay. So, childhood is a time.
Is your real name Maya?
No,
No, it's not your real name?
it's not my real name.
But it doesn't mean testicle.
It does not mean testicle.
You like...
It means my name Maya is from Maya Angelou, but the reason why I like Maya and the reason why I chose it for myself is because of the Hindu philosophy of illusion, of life as an illusion, and it was really kind of like it made sense for me, like in a very kind of like immediate way.
Okay.
I'm not here to tell you that life is an illusion or anything. I don't know what life is, and maybe do you know?
No, I don't know.
You have no idea. So, but there was like a lot of meaning with the name, and that's why I chose it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maya in Indian means... or it
Maya
has to do with the
in
concept
Hindu
of...
means illusion.
Okay.
Yes. And maybe later we'll speak a bit more about names, but I want to ask you about childhood, because you write
Besides
children.
the cats.
Yeah. Besides that episode, let's call it, with a cat. But again, you are redeemed.
Okay.
You're forgiven. You're absolved. You can go free.
Only the animals can absolve me.
Really?
But I'm very thankful for your absolvição, but only the animals will
Well,
do that.
I think on behalf of humans everywhere, and we are animals as well, I absolve you. But apart from the episode with the cat, I want to ask you about your own childhood. And this is because you speak of, and also you write about childhood in a way that's tender and kind of like, it's very soft and very beautiful. I was reading Good Morning Comrades. I read Good Morning Comrades, and I just can't, there's kind of a joy and an ease, despite everything, the kind of like grander social issues they do not understand, that we have to kind of like go through. There's kind of like an innocence and a sweetness. So I just want to ask you about your own childhood and also kind of like your own idea of childhood.
I don't think we were fully aware of the privilege we were having in the capital, in Luanda, during the 80s. I was born in 77, and the war was going on, but the war was not in Luanda. Actually, never too close to Luanda. Sometimes some things 300 kilometers away, 250, yes, lack of water, lack of electricity because of the war, but not bombs, We would perceive that via, radio, the news, and that was happening in other states, but not in Luanda. So this is one, we were very privileged compared to other children growing up in Wambu, in Kwandukubangu, being bombed either by UNITA or by the government or by the South Africans. It was a mess for the southern part of the country.
Yeah.
So this is one. The second is that I don't think when you're a child you see and you live in the same world, of course, as any other person, your father, your mother, or your oldest brother or sister. So that's the thing, sometimes in countries, not like in Angola, when they read Bom Dia Camaradas, Good Morning Comrades, our generation, they see other things. they see the jokes, they remember things, and they come and tell me, you didn't tell this, you didn't tell that. Everyone wants you to remember everything. I can't remember everything. And I really ask them, no, you can bring stories, and then maybe in the next volume I can include them. But we were privileged to be there in Luanda. It was a safe place, and I think that we were very happy. This is very strange for people when they read that the school had no conditions. Sometimes you would be like 2 weeks without water. And, as you might know, I don't know if you know, it's not without water. It's without running water. There is water. There are ways of finding water. The thing is that, you have to know how to shower. You have to know, everyone knows since you are 3, how much water you should use daily. It's not like, I can wash my hair the way I want it. No, it's not, So I would give parts of my water, because I was very fast and I had my hair was not long, to my sister, because she had a longer hair. So she needed more water than I did to wash the hair. Then we developed another technique, that we would wash her hair first, and then that water we use like to the feet or something like that. So it's just like that. But the thing is that all those things are normal when you grow up like that. Let me tell you a tiny story.
Yeah.
First time I went to I always went to public schools in Angola. But when I moved to Portugal, 1 year before university, I went there to study, and I had 1 more year to do before university. So it was a public school. It was not a nice neighborhood in Lisbon. I thought it was the best neighborhood, but then I knew, it's like, and the school was a very regular public poor school of Portugal. So they had windows. They had doors, they had all that kind of stuff, right? So I go there first day or second, I don't know, and I want to go to the bathroom. And I said, oh my God, I do not know anyone here. I had just arrived. And to know someone back in Luanda, when you're at, if you want to do number 2, you got to know someone to take you at his or her place. There is no bathroom in the school, in our schools in Luanda. But, I said, maybe there is a bathroom in here. So I go there and I ask, and the lady smiles, and I say, of course there is a bathroom. It's right there. When I enter the bathroom, for me, it was like paradise, 3 places, water running. And I was like, water is running at the public school. Then I closed, no, it must, it's the rest of the water. And I open again, no, there is water, really water. I go there, and there was the toilet paper. I said, no, a bathroom with toilet paper. Then I went to the second one, another toilet paper, and another. Believe me, I got some of it, and I said, this must be the beginning of the school year. This is probably finished. Let me just get some. Some here, some here. I'm gonna get some paper. Now I'm fine. So when I left that day, I went to a place, and I asked my mother to call me from Luanda. It was expensive, and you gotta talk like 2 minutes. She said, hey, how are you? I said, listen. No one. I'm just gonna tell you this. My school has 3 bathrooms with toilet paper. You know what I mean? And what my mother says, get some and keep it, because, it's got to be the beginning of the year. I said, so this is how crazy it was for me to be in a school where the WC was working, right? Yeah. And then I found out it was a very shitty school of Lisbon, But okay for me, We were used to schools with no windows. But this is not to make an exotic thing of my school. No, this was a regular school, a very good school in Luanda. Why? No windows. In the 5th grade, from September to July, we did not sit on a chair for the whole year. We didn't have. There was 1 bookshelf there that we put it like that, and we used to sit. But we were like 47. You cannot, And the rest of us would stay here standing on a thing like that, to write down the notes. Yeah. So in the break time, you would go out and sit. If you go out and play, no, you go out and sit because you're tired, because you spend like 50 minutes up in the class. But the thing is that this school was working. In Wambu, probably the school was not working, either because there were no teachers or the war wouldn't, allow it.
Right.
The teachers were there, we were there, and we were learning. When I went to Portugal, when I finally got to Portugal, that school, they were amazed amazed. I don't know why. They probably thought, I wouldn't know things. I was the better student of Portuguese and English. Of course, I was not good at history because I was studying Angolan history, not
Yes,
Portuguese. So
not
that
Portuguese
was
history,
a little bit tricky for me. But then, that's it. So childhood, it's about who surrounds you. It's not about exactly,
where you
it's
are.
about who surrounds you.
Yeah.
We were full of love, grandmother, mother, everyone, sisters, cousins. And my family is a very, very crazy family. Crazy in terms of stories. So everything would do or give a good story. The lack of water, there is no electricity, okay, let's play with, not our family, everyone was like that, not. But in my family, it's like crazy people. It starts with my grandmother, and it goes down in a very strange way. A very strange way. Good, but strange. Everyone has a story.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, histórias with the E, right? E-S.
Historia.
Histórias, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I'll challenge you in a while to do something. You open the book anywhere.
I open a book.
Yeah, the book, that book anywhere, and you read a paragraph. I'll open this book anywhere. This is a book in Portuguese. I'll read a little bit in Portuguese, and you read in English.
Yeah, of course.
You think it's gonna be okay?
Yeah, I think
Yeah?
it could be really interesting. We can do that now before we kind of like continue, yeah? Yeah, okay.
Okay with you?
Yeah, okay with me.
Don't choose.
Any passage.
Let the book choose.
Okay, okay. So, interesting. I'm on page 90.
Okay.
Is it?
Okay,
You'll
this
find
is
it.
another book.
This is
Another book
this
with
is not
4
the
authors.
translation.
One of them is me, but the page I got, it's not me. It's Ana Paula Tavares. So I'll just read from Ana Paula. It's okay.
Okay. So, there's the beginning part has petrol, yes. Here, petrol good. Gasoil chipski. A mi kakuarta. Good plane on TAAG flight. Let's go. Boss waitre.
It's an Angolan speaking to an American who has just arrived in Luanda, and he thinks he knows how to speak English.
Petrol. Thank you for the context. Let me read that, and I hope I do a better job. Petrol. It's hard to kind of like capture the Angolan or Luandan way of speaking because I've the Kenyan. Who? No, let me just read it. Petrol, yes. Here, petrol good. Gasol chipski. A mi kakuarta. Good player on TAAG flight. Let's go. Boss waiter. Okay, let's go. What's your name? Rago. Ragasso? No, Rago. Okay. It did the American good to step inside the ministerial vehicle with its gelid conditioning, yet the smell of tobacco smoke bothered him. You not smoke? The advisor tried to be sympathetic. No thanks. The American smiled, taking advantage of the remark to open the window. I really do not smoke. Oh shit. The advisor burst out laughing and pretended he was going to put out the cigarette. So you come work with us? Yes, it's going to be complicated though. Not complicated here. The advisor gesticulated. Here, everything is very simple. Simples. Capiche? Good friends, good money. Should I keep reading? Just a little, okay. The American let his eyes take in the city, the colors of the women who carried the whole world on their shoulders to feed their infants, their children and their nephews and nieces, their godchildren, and their distant relatives who had arrived from faraway wars in search of expensive, difficult, yet safe patch of the Angolan capital. The women are so beautiful, the American commented. Yes, very beautiful. Nice, bonitas. Angola all hot. Warm climate. Warm chicks. Very nice. Kizomba dance, do you know? Kizomba? Yes, national dance. Kizomba. Having just arrived, the American believed he'd seen a vision in the midst of the mass of people crossing the street, selling and drinking water, brushing off dust, mopping their foreheads. The American Drago believed he recognized a face. I'm going to stop there. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. This is a text by Ana Paula Tavares. It's okay. She's from Angola. She's a nice poet. And it's going to be interesting because I think you're going to feel the rhythm, although it's not in English. It's called Desert. Ali começa a grande sede e o lugar onde toda a areia se arruma em grãos de ouro à volta do silêncio. Não é um deserto, dizem, mas coisa muito antiga, baciazinha de areia a esconder carvão mineral, e os caminhos dos rios efêmeros que de vez em quando tomam vida para fazer nascer gramíneas e tubérculos, cheios de água como odres, e que os homens colhem nas situações mais difíceis. Ali moram os homens mais antigos com passos de veludo e uma língua que se liquefaz entre som e silêncio. Caminham nus e sem máscara, que é o que convém a quem vive com uma só lua, se orienta a sul e esconde o sorriso entre as dunas. Ali prometi chegar para morrer um dia entre a noite e a madrugada, cinza e pó, depois de tantos mundos andados e outros por andar. Dobrei-me sobre mim mesma em respeito às pedras do sol e às pequenas árvores imortais. Não é o teu sítio, disseram-me. Pude então partir na direção contrária do vento para afastar os homens e os bichos. Meu coração bolbo ficou para dar água a quem tem sede. So this is like the cinema, the sessions you were talking about, no? Mm-hmm. In the book, this guy, I think it's João de Vaga. The first time I sat to write, it was 2007, and I did not. Then I sat again. By sitting, I mean I have to write it right now.
Yes. 2009.
But then I found out this short story called Shilish Baba, which is Odonato's wife. The short story is called Shilish Baba.
She's Baba.
Yeah, and it's from 1992. So it was not 2001. So when did you start writing, not only this book, but writing? I don't know. Was it in a poem? Was it a composition? Was it a note? I have my grandmother, one of my 17 grandmothers. I have 17 grandmothers.
Wow.
My grandmother, my father's mother, kept and showed to me a letter that I sent her when I was 4 or 5, full of errors and mistakes. Because my mother had this thing, she said we would ask her help to write the letters, and she would not correct everything, Only something very, very odd or offensive, but the rest, and that was beautiful, because all the mistakes are there. And that helped me a lot. When I read that letter, it helped me a lot with my writing, when I write with that narrator, which is almost a child. That helps me. I kind of remember the way, because you don't think with pauses. You go, I need this. And also, I want to know if my grandfather is okay. And I remember now, I need to ask you if you can bring me some chocolates. Oh, my sister is fine. And that rhythm, which can be, sometimes aggressive and tiring, it's interesting for literature. It's the way the children are thinking, not so organized. It's more sensation and instinct than whatever we do after we are children.
I'm going to ask a few more questions, and then I'm going to open it up to the audience if anyone has a question. So why did you write this book, Transparent City? Why did you write this book specifically?
I think I wrote it almost for the same reason I wrote the others, because I had a tiny or not so tiny thing to say.
Okay.
The difference, and people were a little bit not surprised, but maybe surprised or amazed by the contents of this book, is that the other books were very soft. Childhood, very beautiful. This one has other strong facts about Luanda. I was very tired and disappointed specifically with the politicians. I am never ever disappointed with people, not the people. I have it very clear in my mind, and it's very hard for us when we go outside in the countries that they know us, Mozambique, Portugal, Brazil, and the things you hear about Angola are not nice, and you have to say, yes, they are right. It's the way things are in Angola, but it's not the people. It's not that lady. We call it Zungeira. Zungeira, it's a lady who walks in the streets selling things with a big thing, whatever it is, clothes or food. That's a Zungeira. It comes from a verb kuzunga, que é to walk.
To walk.
Kuzunga. Então, zungar, it's to walk around, walking, selling, no?
Sounds a little bit like Zuru. I'm probably kind of like Zurura in Swahili, which is kind of like wandering, walking.
Yeah, in Kimbundu it's kuzunga. And kuzunga. In Zungeira it becomes this occupation of selling in the streets, walking around. So how is this lady, what does she have to do with all the mistakes that our politicians do and they bring our name so badly into other nations? Nothing. The fishermen, the guy, she was talking in this text about the desert, which is in the southern part of Angola, and you still have a community there, the Kuvale, and they live there, they hunt, they do. What does he have to do with that? Nothing. And he's Angolan. So he said, well, you Angolans. I said, who? Who? Mr. President, maybe, Mr. Minister, maybe, but not the other people, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I was trying to show in that book a little bit, is that as in any other part of the world, I'm not saying it's in Angola, in Portugal, here, we gotta be careful with when we say the Kenyan people. Who are we talking about? No.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was a little bit disappointed, and it's okay. I mean, it showed up all that bitterness in a way.
Yeah.
But it's part of life. I write also with that part of my life, the not so fantastic or fantasious, illusion, part of life. So it's okay.
Speaking of fantasious and fantastic, there's a lot of fantastical elements in Transparent City from Ordinato, one of the central characters in the book, becoming transparent, to even the water in the first floor in the building.
It's very special.
Kind of like, it's a very special, magical space. And there are a lot of kind of like this moments of kind of like out of realism. And do you, to begin with, tell us a bit about that, and also to kind of tie to that question, do you agree that you are a writer of the magical realism?
Well, it's not 0-1. It's not do you agree or do you disagree. It's not.
It's not?
Black or white. No. It's more complicated. The thing is.
Wait, what's magical realism for you?
Exactly. When we say magical realism, first I think we think of Garcia Marquez and all that movement as a corrente. What I think, and I also think that was happening in Colombia and in Garcia Marquez's mind as a writer. The magic realism is not when he says, I think it was Remedios that flew, she was beautiful and light, and then one day she went up and disappeared. And people tend to think, oh, this is Gabriel Garcia Marquez. He's, he put this lady light and flying, and that's magic realism. I don't think it's exactly that fact.
Okay.
Is the things that there are things happening in our daily lives that are not exactly things that you can explain all the time.
Yeah.
Funerals.
Yes.
If you go to a funeral in Luanda, in Angola in general, but I know better the funerals in Luanda, you're gonna have so much fun. You're gonna learn so much about people, culture, drinking, eating, playing. Just pay attention to what everyone is saying.
I
Children,
really enjoyed
old
the
people.
scene in the book where I think it's Davide and the journalist Paolo. They go to a wedding that's not really a wedding, it's a christening. And it's so special to kind of like see that kind of like the way people party or kind of like get down in Luanda,
See,
and they really
that's
do.
magic realism.
That's
what I was
magical
about to say.
realism.
It's not exactly if Odonato becomes transparent or no. You know what's magic realism? Is that you see, there's this guy, Mr. Fernando, you go to a party and he starts dancing when it's, 10 p.m. midnight. Dancing. He's nearly 80. It's either 78 or 80.
Yes.
Starts dancing with
Yes.
everyone. He dances very well.
Yes.
Very well. It's like a 16 years old will like to dance with him. My grandmother will like to dance with him, and my mother too. And my father, if he could, he would like to dance with him too. He's a very great dancer, and he dances until 6 a.m. This is magic realism. A person who's dancing well, enjoying, full of energy and life from midnight to 6 a.m. This is, see, you don't have to look for magic realism. And then she flew, and then he became transparent. No, the magic realism is in front of you every day in Luanda, every day. Also, the lady who, by selling this and that, is supporting a son studying in Brazil.
That's magical realism.
That's magic everything, you know. It's not exactly what, if she flies or she doesn't fly, and you go to a place and, oh, she's a witch and she flies during the night. Maybe she does, but for me, she's flying already,
Yeah.
Support, there are people do that, 2, 3 kids study in Brazil and she sells panties, what do you call panties? Underwear?
Panties, yeah.
Panties. And she has 3 kids studying in a private school in Brazil. What's that?
How, yeah.
See?
It is kind of magical.
It's magic Africanism. It's not magic realism.
It's Africanism?
It's our reality. We don't need that name. It's sometimes, in Brazil they ask me, is that magic realism? I say, it's just realism, you don't need them. It's magic in a way.
I'm going to ask you one last question, and then I'm going to open it up. What's the love affair between you and Marquez? I know that he visited Luanda sometime in the 70s.
Yes.
So tell us
I
a
was
bit
not
about
there,
that.
unfortunately.
Yeah, you weren't born yet.
I think I was born, but I was not there.
Oh,
I think
when was it?
I
When he
think
came
it
to
was
Luanda?
after 77.
It was after.
Maybe it
Okay.
was 79 or whatever.
Okay.
But if it was 76, no. No, there is something interesting about Garcia Marquez, that the first time I had the book, 100 Anos de Solidão, 100 Years, I didn't like it. I opened it and I said, oh, I can't read this. There is Aureliano II, then there is Segundo Aureliano, then there is Aureliano who's son of Aureliano II, then I don't know who's who.
So
And he was,
many
he was doing that on purpose, obviously. So I didn't read it by then. And I went to read Sartre, Jean-Paul Sartre, and that was crazy. How can you stop reading Garcia Marquez to read Sartre? But it's okay. Then a few years later, I went back to Garcia Marquez, and it was very important and shocking to understand that while I was reading Garcia Marquez, in that specific 2 years and a half, that specific period of time, my grandmother, she's 104 now, that one, she had her bedroom and I had mine, but we used to stay together. We were going to many times to go to the same bed and talking until 2 a.m. And she was doing exactly the same thing Garcia Marquez was doing. The way she was telling me the stories, the way she was messing with time and space.
Yeah.
Like, after a while, I said, no, this is Garcia Marquez, here in my bed, next to me. And that was amazing. That gave me a strong connection. Well, of course, she is Angolan and she's telling me Angolan stories.
Yeah.
But it's just that Garcia Marquez said, time and space, not exactly as you see it. Try to put it the other way around, and it's okay. And Melquiades will come back and come back and come back, My grandmother, she's 104, and I'm telling you, I'm afraid she's doing something like that. I told my sisters, we're all going to die before her. She's waiting for us. She has buried a son. She has buried a grandson, Nito. She has buried 2 sons of her. I'm telling you, she's. For me, it's okay. It's beautiful. I know that I'm going to die with her age, so I have
You're going to die at
104 guaranteed.
You guaranteed.
Oh yes, she's 104. So for me.
With that, I'm going to open it up. Anyone has a question? Yes, the lady and then the gentleman.
We can give.
You need this? Yes, you. We can.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Nice. My name is Luciana, I'm from Brazil, so it's really nice to hear some Portuguese speakers here. My question is that when I was reading you, I kind of felt, I remembered a lot of Walter Hugo Mãe, and I don't know, I wanted to hear about your inspirations, especially in Lusophone countries, but like any inspirations that you have.
Okay, thank you. Do you want to make the question? No.
Hello, my name is Dennis Muga. First of all, I'm really glad to be here. Like, I'm really happy about that. So my question is about language and how it influences how people tell stories. So, so when you're telling your story about, I think, the 17 grandmothers, and the other story about the Civil War and you being within the Civil War and also going to Portugal and finding bathrooms with toilet paper.
Magic.
Yeah. So my question was about now language. So see, I feel as though you're telling the story in Portuguese, but in English. You get?
No, if I what?
It's as if you're telling the story in Portuguese but in English. Does that make sense?
Is it a secret?
No, it's like you speak and
You're
tell
thinking
the
in
story
Portuguese,
in
but
Portuguese.
you're telling it in English.
But now you're speaking in English.
Yeah. So I feel
Most
like
probably, yes.
it's like a very surreal story because I don't know. It's a very surreal story, and every single story that you've told seems so surreal. Like you're in school like you don't have seats, but you're still studying.
Oh, you had seats in your school?
Yes,
No, I'm
we did
asking
have seats.
That's
We
very
did have
good.
seats. So the question is, so when you look at when I look at literature literature translated from Spanish to English or from Portuguese to English, most of it is so like the stories are so outlandish, but you believe them. Like you totally believe them that they're true. Like there's no other way that they could not be true. So I think the only Angolan writer I interacted with before I came for the festival was Jose Agualusa. And there's a book about a chameleon who...
The book of...
the book of
I know which
chameleons,
one is
yeah.
that.
So it's about a chameleon who is telling this story. And I'm like, this is so true. Like there's no way a chameleon cannot tell a story. So...
It can, yes.
Yeah, there's no way it cannot tell a story. So, and then you get to English, into English literature. Like, it tells its stories differently from the way now Spanish and Portuguese will tell the stories when translated. Because even when you read Portuguese and Spanish literature, you're literally reading Portuguese in English and Spanish in Portuguese. So how does language influence how people tell stories? Now that's my question. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I'm sure you are listening to my English, so yes, gotta be a little bit messy. Inspirations. Well, I think we know some and we can identify some, and there are some we cannot identify. You know, I don't believe that you know everyone that has an influence on you. I'm not sure if this is correct English. I don't know if you can trace it, né? Se a gente consegue relacionar exatamente quem. So I think almost everything you read, of course, but every movies you've seen, every songs you've heard, every days you have lived. So sometimes people say, oh yes, Garcia Marquez was very important for me. Yes, obviously. But one of the things that I identified was that my grandmother was also very important for me. Not for me as a person, but also. But that is the one I can identify. But to give you names, that's what our mind wants, numbers and names. There is these two very important guys. One is from Mozambique, Luis Bernardo Onuana. He's a great, great writer. Again, I think 2 books, maybe one, then 2. 2 books published, great writer. And then more than 2 books. But these 2 stories, We Killed the Mangy Dog from Luis Bernardo Onuana and Que Me Dera Ser Onda, some sort of I Wish I Was a Wave from Manuel Rui. In these 2 books, I found these kids telling stories in a way that made so much sense for me, you know. I found Luis Bernardo Onuana telling us how a kid from Maputo would tell a story with his own Portuguese, not the Portuguese from the school, not the Portuguese from Portugal, not the Portuguese from Mozambique, but his own Portuguese. And that's what I chase sometimes. I want my character, if he's a kid, to tell me how he himself or she speaks, thinks, and dreams. I do not want to say to you, this is how we in Angola talk. No, I don't work with we's, and the we is a very empty entity. And Manuel Rui did the same with the Angolan kids. So this book, Que Me Dera Ser Onda, when we read that book, the kids he was talking about, we were those kids. After independence, as some sort of new Portuguese language, more Angolan Portuguese language, and he was working with that language in books. We were working with that language in our daily life. So there was a great identification, and I remember thinking, oh, you can do this. You can write like this, instead of extremely correct, only correct words, what they would call the clean language. No, there is no such way as clean or dirty language, but so I thought, wow, we can do this. We can use the street language, any street. My street is different from Southern Wambu street, and so forth. Yeah, so those were great influences. I remember also when I first read Macondo from Mozambique. That was a great influence. But Macondo is beautiful because Macondo is from Mozambique, and he says that Luandino Vieira, who is from Angola, is a great influence was for him. And then Luandino says Guimarães Rosa from Brazil was a great influence. And then the other guy says it's Fernando Pessoa from Portugal. And it goes in this beautiful, not triangulation, but roundishulation, which is, you in the end is what touches you, no? In terms of inspiração, I think. What touches you? I have read Kazantzaki, and he's from Greece. I used to love Sofia de Mello Breiner. She's from Portugal. But then when you enter Latin America, when you enter the world of short stories in Latin America, when you enter Cuba, Colombia, Argentina, Peru, you will never, ever get out of there. It's a trap. It's a labyrinth of imagination, powerful imagination, much more than what you are saying. If you go to Cortázar, if you go to Borges, obviously, Jorge Luis Borges, but it's the end of the world. It's the beginning of the end of the world. And really, if you listen to Sketches of Spain, Miles Davis, it's the same. The way it never ends and the way you can listen to it in an infinite way, that's when you start reading authors from Latin America. For me, that's my opinion. But I do not know that well authors from the oriental part of the world. I do not know authors from Mongolia, from Bangladesh, from Japan that well. I do not know the northern part of the world authors. So I'm just saying a tiny bit I found out there. And once you enter Brazil, short stories, the poetry of Brazil, you will never, ever get out. It's like a spider web. There is no way, no way. There is one thing I'm very curious about dying.
Dying?
About dying, you know. If something happens after we die, there are two great things that I'm waiting and wondering if that will happen. One, you will meet people again. See? You can also, I will meet my grandfather, which I never met, my grandmother's husband, one of them, the other I met. And I really want to understand, because I think he's the root of everything which is crazy in my family. She got some, my grandmother, but I think it's him.
It's him.
So you can revisit friends. And the other is that you can go there and read a book. You know, after, I'm not sure. It's drinking, and after you're dead, you know, I can smoke. I don't smoke anymore. I used to smoke. I can't smoke. After I'm dead, first thing I'm going to do up there, light a cigarette. So, how do you read books in here? So what? How do you read books? Because I think maybe, you know, you can do that. Cortázar. The whole, you know, that, can you imagine that? I speak Chinese. I speak Japanese. That's going to be fun in dying, you know. It's got to be something funny about dying. So the language, I don't know, maybe yes, I think you're right. I think the way they write, the way Mexican authors write in Spanish, it's not exactly the same as Spanish from Spain writers write in Spanish. But I know nothing about that. I'm just saying that you might be right, you know. There might be something in the language that gives you some sort of touch or feeling or mood. Although, I mean, this is not mathematics, right? I mean, a Swedish author could write something like Garcia Marquez or not. I don't know. I don't know. But after I'm dead, I will know, because I will read all the Swedish books. Like that.
I think only if you've been good. Have you been good? Do you think you've been good?
Good.
Like, you know, there's the idea of like heaven rewards the good.
Doing good? Sorry.
Just like living a good life.
Living a good life.
Yes.
I started trying it 10 years ago. Now it's getting better. That means being being fair with me as well. Not only with others, but trying to be fair. Sometimes we forget to be fair with us, and it's not a good idea. It's not a good idea.
It's very powerful. Unfortunately, I think our time has run out. It would have been lovely to continue chatting.
Maya, there was this character called Maya in a series called Space 1999.
Space 1999.
You know that? It's a fiction series, Espaço 1999. Do you
it?
know what Maya did? Maya, she was not human. She was from another place, and she could transform in anything she had seen or touched. Maya, and she was beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, maybe it's why because of that. Yeah.
This is a movie or
No, it's a
TV
series, like an old series from the past century. You were not born yet.
You don't know that.
I'm joking. Thank you so much for your
Thank you
for your
so
questions.
much, and thank you to all of you for joining us and accompanying us. It was really lovely. You can catch Ondjaki. He'll be here for the rest of the festival, speaking and also speaking personally, and also his book Transparent City is available to buy at Prestige. So thank you so very much, and